are heard. We, your hosts, are not police officers, but we are experienced attorneys from the criminal legal field, dedicated to transparency and accountability. We encourage you to call in with your questions, comments, and concerns. While we may not be able to address individual cases on the air, we are committed to following up with you. So, with that, let's learn more about today's guest. Chriselle?
Today we have two guests. We have Officer Christopher Kalka, who served with the New Orleans Police Department from 1998 to 2015, rising through the ranks to become a detective lieutenant. After retiring, he went on to lead as Chief of Investigations for the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office in Chicago. In 2024, Officer Kalka returned to the NOPD and recently graduated from recruit class number 203. He's now back in uniform and proudly serving the 3rd District, covering the neighborhoods of Holly Grove, Lakeview, Mid-City, and Gentilly. We also have recruit Amber Matthews, who is the recruit in charge of the New Orleans Police Department's recruit class number 204, which is scheduled to graduate in July. A lifelong New Orleanian and accomplished vocalist, she graduated from the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, NOCA, and went on to study at the prestigious New School for Jazz and Contemporary Music in New York City. Outside of her work in music, she's also a proud mom to a 6-year-old daughter. So I want to thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you. And I see we just told everyone that you graduated from NOCA, recruit Matthew. So I want to let everybody know I had the pleasure of hearing her sing, and she has a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So let's just get started, and jump in right for our listeners today. So let everyone know, like, why do you want to be a police officer?
So for me, I always wanted to, like the way I looked at it was this: when you have a problem and you've exhausted all your options and your back is to the wall, you call 911. And I wanted to be that person that came and tried to solve that problem for you, you know. So that's why, from a young age, I knew I wanted to become a police officer.
So it sounds like you went into the field because of a calling.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, well, not everyone experiences that calling from such a young age. Recruit, can you let us know? Did you experience that same type of calling sensation, or did you enter this field for a different reason?
I did not feel that calling. I never thought that I would be a police officer. Um, yeah, I never thought that I'd be a police officer. It's never something that I thought I would even do. I ended up on this path because I am a parent, and the urgency to provide for myself and my child was staring me in the face every day. Um, and I had that was the thing that drew me into this
Hmm.
initially. But every day along this journey and through my training, I found a new reason to stay every day.
Wow.
So,
I love to hear that. So I find that very reassuring that we
Hmm.
kind of have a yin and a yang in the room today. That we have somebody who's here because they've wanted to do it since they were a child, and someone who's here who started because of some logistical reasons. It is a career
sure.
along with being a calling, as we're hearing, but it is a career. And but as you're entering your academy and your training, you're finding new reasons to do this work, and that's great. So anyone out there listening, you don't have to necessarily want to always do this since a child, grew up.
You can have to want to do it for your child.
Yeah, you can want to do it for your child, or
Absolutely.
yeah, have a later in life interest in the field. Do either of you have any family members that are police officers?
I don't.
You don't?
So my father was a reserve cop in our small Rust Belt town in upstate New York. And I remember from a young age, watching him get dressed in the uniform and going from dad to Officer Kalka. And, he used to take me to the station sometimes. And so I have those memories of, what it looked like and what it smelled like. And, occasionally you'd see one of the cars go flying out to whatever the call was. I mean, we didn't have much crime there, but they were in a hurry to get there. And I always just thought how cool it would be to, to chase the bad guys for a living. And so, that seeped into my brain, and that was always on my mind.
That's definitely something that we do hear about from people that had a positive experience with police officers as a child, where they see them as being on the right side of the law or
Right.
being on the right side of social justice issues,
Right.
and then wanting to grow up and be a part of that process.
Yeah.
What about you, Recruit Matthews? Did you ever see police officers as a child and have any type of perception of them?
I don't recall having very many experiences with police officers as a child, but through this academy training, I've had the privilege of being able to be in the company of pretty amazing officers and working special events and getting to be out in the streets with officers and hear their experiences, and that's largely been my experience.
Okay. So that's another interesting take. We frequently hear from people in our community that experiences that they have with the police department, whether positive or negative, shapes their decision to maybe consider the field of policing or not consider the field of policing. So for you, there was no experience like that that really kind of maybe triggered some interest or maybe pushed away that thought for you for a while?
Hmm. I'd say through the academy training, speaking with officers about their experiences through this field has encouraged me and inspired me more to do this. It's
Mm.
been reassuring that this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to contribute positively to my community. I'd love to protect and to serve my community. And that has
Mm.
been what I've heard from officer after officer through this experience. So,
And for you,
Love to
Recruit
hear it.
Matthews, it sounds like it may be a little personal. You're from New Orleans, right?
yes, ma'am, born and raised.
All right, so I know that sometimes that gives us, of course, a little bit more pride, of course, and especially I can see it. A lot of people probably can't see you right now, but I can see it right now when you're speaking. The passion and the kind of love that you have for the city and the reason why you want to do it.
Yes, of course. This city made me who I am, born and raised here. And I love the people here. I love everything about this city. So it's an honor to be able to step into this field and serve my community in this way.
Officer Kalka, you are not from here.
I am not.
So you came to this in a different way. Why New Orleans? Why serve New Orleans?
So when I was a senior in college, I went to college right on Lake Ontario, across from the Canadian border, and we were pelted with lake effect snow all year long. And I said, I never want to see snow again. I knew I wanted a big city police experience. I just didn't know where. I knew I wanted someplace warm, someplace in the South, preferably. So the summer before my senior year and throughout my senior year, I traveled all across the South. I have a brother in Austin, Texas. Did some ride-alongs there, Austin, Georgetown, San Antonio, that area. I went to San Diego at one point, checked out the police department there, went to Florida a little bit. But when I came to New Orleans, there's something about this place. It just felt like home, like right off the bat. And New Orleans is so welcoming and friendly that as soon as I got here, I said, I don't want to go anyplace else. I mean, this is the place for me. And the out-of-state testing lined up with my spring break. So I spent spring break here, and I loved it, and I didn't want to be anywhere else.
What year was that?
1998.
98. Okay.
Didn't want any snow, but then
Yeah.
But then
then what happened?
Yeah, well.
So why now though? Why do you think now is the right time? So we got the where, we got the why, but why now? Why is the right time for you to make this commitment?
There's no time like the present, I feel like I'm mentally prepared, I'm physically prepared, and it's taken some time to get here. Staring my daughter in her eyes every day, it's now. It has to be now. So, yeah. I feel like I'm ready now, today, now.
That's great. That's great. I love to hear that type of response because we want to make sure that you're ready, but also that it feels like something deeper. Like this
Mhm.
is the right time for you because when it's right for you, you'll be in a better position to be able to do right for others.
It's true.
And
So,
I'm
oh, sorry.
sorry. I just wanted to mention, Recruit Matthews, you mentioned earlier, like your reason for starting to joining the New Orleans Police Department was, you know, to basically provide for your child. And as you've gone through it, a lot of those reasons have evolved, not changed, but evolved, have grown into other things and have been added. So if you feel comfortable, do you mind sharing any other reasons that you have now that you're in the academy that you have now? Have you clinging on and going through this every day?
Sure. Uh, this experience has been incredibly rewarding. Um, Being able to show up every day, ready to go, mentally prepared, physically prepared, being able to see what you're capable of, to be able to enter into things that you never thought you'd be able to do, that you never thought you would do, and to be good at them, and to enjoy them, to have fun. It's exciting and it's extremely rewarding for me. So that's been literally every day. There's
Mhm.
something else. I'm like, oh, I love this. This is so much fun. Oh, I love doing this. So every day for me, there's something new, some other reason to keep coming back.
And we all know, like, normally when we doing something that we do enjoy and do love to do, that we generally do our best at it. Like,
Exactly.
we give it our all because it's not a burden, it's not a chore. So that's great to hear that you actually enjoy what you're doing now.
It's a lot of fun.
And in all honesty, to say that she's good at these things
Oh.
is an understatement. I mean, she is exceptional at all of them. Never picked up a firearm in her life,
Mhm.
and within 3 days, she was shooting better than 96% in the course. Just absolutely amazing.
Okay. That's amazing to hear.
So, logistically, let's go back to some logistical things that you brought up earlier. Supporting a family, so important. Are you paid to go through the academy?
Yes, we are paid.
Okay, so you do get a salary when you're going through the academy, and it is not something that you have to save up to do. You are paid for this.
That's correct.
All right, good. That helps clear up some confusion that we frequently hear in the community about that. And I just again want to underscore that there's a lot of different reasons why people enter the academy, become officers, or stay officers. And those reasons, you might pivot between them at different times. It might end up being personal things like what's going on in your family, what you might need in terms of financial well being or a career, or it could be the craft, realizing you're good at something
Mhm.
and enjoying the profession and the work of it. And it could be a social movement issue. It could be the social work aspect of getting to work with people. There's a lot of different reasons why you enter the field and why you might stay in the field. And I love getting to hear your reasons, y'all's reasons, and hear if it syncs up with the things that I frequently read about in the policing field. So, Officer Kalka, you left NOPD 15 years ago. You originally came here in 1998. You started your career, and now you're back here. And the reason why we wanted to have you on the show, it's kind of interesting to anyone who's unfamiliar with your career track. You had to start over. You had
Started
to-
all over
you had
from
to go back
scratch. Yes,
and do the academy all over again. That is a big commitment. Thank you for that.
my pleasure.
So, knowing you had to go back through and do it all over again, what made you decide to come back to the department after all these years?
You know, as soon as I left, I missed it terribly. I miss New Orleans. I miss the people. I miss the food. I miss just the overall vibe. The things that brought me here in the first place, I missed them. And even, I've traveled all over the world, and I'd be someplace for a few days and like, this is nice, but I can't wait to get back to New Orleans. And so, after I left, it's difficult to move. I made a commitment to the medical examiner's office, and I did enjoy the work. I really did. But it's not police work and it's not New Orleans. So I just couldn't wait to get back. And at this point, I said, you know what? I'm not getting any younger, and that physical training is not going to get any easier. So, I couldn't wait to get back here. So
What rank were you when you left NOPD?
I was a detective lieutenant. So I spent most of my career here in homicide and violent crime. And as a lieutenant, I was the assistant commander of the 3rd District for about a year and a half. And I finished my career as the first commander of the Force Investigation Team.
Mm,
Wow.
Yeah.
interesting.
So wait, let's take
Let's guess.
yeah, let's unpack some of that. You were the assistant commander of the 3rd District.
That's correct.
What are you now?
I am now the probationary police officer in the 3rd District.
Wow. So really, you're starting at the bottom again.
I am, yes.
What is that like for you?
You know, it's not strange. I mean, everybody asks me the same thing, like, "Wow, that must be so difficult," but it's not. You know, I'm still just me, whether I'm a lieutenant or whether I'm, in this position. You know, and even people who've worked for me in the past have, will tell you the same thing. Like, I never looked at it like my detectives work for me.
Mm.
Like, my detectives work with me. We were just a
Mm.
team. So this dynamic isn't anything unusual. It's just, hey, we're back working again. I just don't have bars on my shoulders. You know.
So do you feel more prepared for it now, the second time around?
Yeah. I mean, the academy was much more smooth this time. I had a better idea of how to handle, because it takes a lot of mental focus to stay in. You're in a classroom setting, but it's designed to induce stress. I was better able to cope with that this time. And what was nice was, I had a number of young men and women in the class with me, and they asked good questions. They wanted to know, like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? Like, what aspects of policing, what do you think I would be good at? And when they were struggling, focus and everything, they would ask me, and I would be able. I like to be in the class grandpa. It was nice though. It was good to see. It was refreshing to see them ask these questions because it shows, what, they're here because they care.
Mhm.
And so I love that part of it.
So it seems like you kind of came like an unofficial mentor.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Amazing. So tell us though, how has the academy changed since the first time you went through it?
A lot more coursework
Mhm.
and a lot fewer push-ups. So 48-year-old me was very happy with that. But the coursework is a lot more intense. We delve into a lot of different things that we didn't the first time around. Some of the classes introduce us to New Orleans and how things work. There's a class called Cultural Gumbo, which is fantastic because for those of us who didn't grow up here, I learned it in field training. My field training officers were fantastic. So as explaining the language, the different, everything about it. So, Kevin Thomas, Carrie Dupart, Billy Ceravolo, Ricky Hunter, you guys were wonderful to me because I had no idea some of the things they were saying. Carrie told me he was giving up cold drinks for Lent, and I thought he was just going to drink coffee and tea.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's good. It's good that we get that experience in the academy before we even hit the streets.
That's great.
So if there is another former officer listening who's considering coming back but would have to have the same career path as you, as in they might need to go back through the academy again, and they're on the fence about making that commitment, do you have any advice to that person?
Do it now. If you don't, you're always going to regret it. And I knew I would always regret not coming back. I enjoyed being in the ME's office, but it's not being a New Orleans police officer. There's no more rewarding career than this. So do it now, and you're not getting any younger. That's for sure.
That is true. Time moves in one direction
Yeah, I
sometimes, though your career has led us to believe that maybe it can have some backward steps.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm trying.
But in a good way. In a good way.
Right.
So take us behind the curtain, please. What is the academy really like? Be real with us.
The academy is intense. It's serious, but it needs to be because the work that we're going to do is also intense and serious. We are learning a lot of information quickly. We're gaining a lot of skills very quickly. We're learning to respond in stressful situations. We are learning to show up and be responsible and accountable for our gear, for all the things. It's intense.
Is it like the movies?
I don't. Is it like the movies?
All I keep
you
thinking
get
about is
yelled
Police.
at?
I promise the only movie I'm thinking about right now is Police Academy. When you
Oh
said
my
that,
gosh!
It's
Well,
definitely
no,
not
definitely
Police
not like that.
Academy.
I've
No, I'm
actually
thinking
never
about
seen
Training
Police
Day or something.
I can assure you it's not that.
Never seen Police Academy.
Do you get yelled at? Let's ask that.
Not very much. Not very much. We get, stern talking tos, but not so much.
so it's
yelling
not like
these days.
military yelling in your
No,
face
no,
type of
nothing.
situation.
Nothing along those lines.
Okay.
I'm hearing coursework. Do you have to be good at homework, reading, writing?
All of the above. I think it's about taking in the information, internalizing it, processing it, and being able to apply it to situations. So sometimes that does look like report writing or, taking exams and assessments and things. So I'd say all of it.
Say you're not good at taking tests. How do you think your experience would be at the academy?
There's plenty of support available. I mean, a few of the guys that I just graduated with just were not good test takers. But, the staff at the academy is very accommodating. They're wonderful with helping you understand how to take tests even, and then making sure you have that material. And then your other fellow classmates, we pick each other up, and, we make sure that we all got through. Yeah.
So I heard mention that the experience is meant to induce stress. You said it,
Sure.
Officer Kalka.
Yes.
You've mentioned this, Recruit Matthews. How do you cope with that? How do you, as a person, cope with that?
One day at a time.
Yeah.
Do you have any self-care routines, or have you learned any skills in the academy that you think would be helpful for listeners to kind of consider?
I'd say running for me is how I make sense of everything of my life, and that's something we also do in academy, physical activity, physical training. That really helps. Sometimes you feel things, your body is having an experience, and you need somewhere to put the energy. And running, working out, lifting weights, push-ups, all of the physical training that we do really gives you somewhere to put it.
Okay, physical training. That's good to hear.
Along the same lines. So 22-year-old me loved to run.
Mm.
48-year-old me's not so fond of it anymore. But
I don't run either.
and as we did these physical training assessments throughout the academy, I realized that I'd vastly overrated my natural ability to perform. So, as I started to do more push-ups, working out, weightlifting, and things like that, I felt myself feeling a lot better and more confident. So I would say to anybody, that is a key component, eating right too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many temptations in this city,
Absolutely.
and we were going into Mardi Gras time, and I love king cake.
Now
let
we're
me
in
tell you.
festival season.
Yeah, I know, but I did not have a single piece of king cake this year. Not one. I'm not kidding.
It's okay. I had enough for you.
Good looking out,
Thank
Chriselle.
you for getting me through this
Teamwork.
academy then.
I was with you all, Recruit Matthews, when you said running, you lost me there. But I came back with the weightlifting and, those things, but
Yep.
the running, I'm going to leave that to you too.
Yep.
And I hate to push on it, but I'm hearing a lot of physical ways to
Yes.
cope with stress, but I'm not hearing emotional or mental. And I got to be real. Everything I've learned from policing from the TV lets me know that this can be an emotionally trying job, and the academy can be an emotionally trying experience. So let us know. How are you coping with that component of it? With the kind of the emotional pressure, with say the mental pressure that comes with this type of work, starting this type of work.
So, I mean, because of my experience on the street, I knew what to expect. I've been through vastly more stressful situations than this, and this is what I was coming back for. This is I, for some reason, missed that. A great deal. Now, as far as some of the other day-to-day stuff, somebody showed me meditation techniques and breathing techniques, and just kind of finding ways to, corral some of that energy and turn it towards a positive. And that actually helped out a lot. I wish I had known that 26 years ago.
Yeah.
So it would have made that process a lot easier. But
And for me, it is all connected. The physical part, the dealing with emotional stress, physical stress, it's all connected. So for me, taking care of my body, whether that's getting a good night's sleep, eating well, just making sure I'm prepared for the next day. It's just every little step builds up to you being able to show up and really give 100%. So even when you're like, oh, this is so stressful, you actually can manage. You can get through it. You just have to take the little steps along the way and prepare.
Trust the process.
Trust the process. That's it.
Trust the process.
That's-
Trust the routine.
Yes.
Set up the right routine.
Routine is
Right.
key. It really
Okay.
is.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
that's big advice because honestly,
That's
a lot
big
of
advice,
people
yeah.
can handle a lot of things if we just set up routines and plan better.
Yeah.
So that's great advice. Even in life in general, great advice.
And then the stressful moments don't feel so stressful because
Yeah.
you're ready.
That's great advice.
stressful, not overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly.
Stressful, not overwhelming.
That's great.
That's the way to frame it. So is this what you expected it to be?
No. No.
What did you expect the academy to be?
I didn't have any expectations, but I think that's what's made it so fun. Like just being surprised at what I'm going to be doing tomorrow or what I'm going to do next week. It's not what I expected because I didn't know what to expect. So,
Was there anything you wish you knew before entering the academy? Because what if we have someone listening who might enter the academy next, class 205,
Mhm.
and they're saying, all right, great, this is helpful. I'm going to trust the process, build my routines, work out,
Mhm.
run, give up king cake, even though we're no longer in
Yes.
king cake season. But are there any other inside tips that you think this person should do to be able to be prepared for what comes next?
I have no notes. I think you should just let it be a surprise too. It'll
Really?
be I think that's the best way. I think to just show up and be ready for anything.
Ooh,
That's what I think.
oh my gosh.
That's what my experience was
The
like, and
planner
it's been
in me
great.
hates that. Oh, God.
So I guess it's like expect the unexpected, right? Okay.
No, I know. I'm not feeling that one. I'm
Give
only-
me some insider. Like,
Honestly, I'm all like, isn't there like a, like, should,
is there a book I should read first?
I
Like
know.
something.
anything?
There-
Slip us a
There is
secret.
no book that can do this job justice. Let's
Ah,
face it.
fair. What about The Wire? Should
Oh,
they
The
watch-
Wire's great.
So-
Oh, don't get me
All
started
right.
on
So
that.
watch The Wire,
Oh,
guys.
Watch The Wire.
Watch The
everybody.
Wire.
But
Yes.
again, as you mentioned, I'd say it's the routine. It's
routine.
start the running now. Start
Ooh.
working out now.
Yes.
That's
That
a good one.
physical,
Okay.
being physically prepared will help you build the mental fortitude that you need to make it out on the other side of this.
Set up the bedtime now.
Yes.
Set up the alarm clock in the morning now.
Yes.
Start adjusting
Start
to
running,
those
yeah.
changes.
And
Start
it's-
running now.
Yeah, as far as you don't want to be surprised by that in the academy. And like the first time I went through, I knew what the physical fitness standards were, and I mean at that time you had to do I think 22 push-ups,
Mm.
and I couldn't have done 22 push-ups if you held a gun to my head. So what I did is I set up between this time and this time every 30 minutes I'm going to do 5 push-ups. I know I can do 5 push-ups, so I would do 5 and set the timer every 30 minutes. And by the end of the day, you've done 100 push-ups, but you don't feel like it.
Wow.
And you gradually feel yourself getting stronger. Well, now I'm going to up it to 10. And then by the end of the day, you're at 200 push-ups, and just went up from there. So then when I got into the academy, it was just like, however many you need me to do, I got it because I'm ready for it.
So what I'm also hearing is start setting up ways to build some self-discipline
Right.
Exactly.
now.
Yes.
So that way it's not a big adjustment to building self-discipline later. Because
True.
at the end of the day, it all comes down to you and what you're willing to do, give up, or change.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not planning on joining the police academy, but I'm jotting
What?
all this down. Like, this just seems like advice for life.
I know, honestly.
Build my discipline. I got
Yeah.
it. I got it.
Tips for good living.
Just gradually built up.
This is helpful. Okay, so what about misconceptions for all of us out there who are just watching the police academy and going, it looks like a fun, good time, really goofy.
Right.
It's definitely not goofy. It is fun, but not in that way. And then if you've seen some of the negative movies, there is not somebody standing there screaming in your face all day.
Right.
The idea, this is not the Marines. You're not being broken down to be put back together. You know, you're here. We're here to make sure that you can handle stressful situations, but we're all here to pick each other up. So don't be scared if you don't like to be yelled at right at this point in your life. Most people don't, and that's not what this is.
That is
Well
really
said.
reassuring. Now, you said it's not the Marines, but it is still hard. What was the hardest part?
I'd say just showing up every day. You know,
Mm.
life is still actively happening outside of the academy. And
Interesting.
like it might be something small, like my kid didn't feel like brushing her teeth this morning. And if we don't get out of the house in the next 2 minutes, I'm going to be late. Sometimes it's just life is happening. So showing up ready every day can be challenging sometimes.
Ooh, ooh. That also hits on another mental emotional skills, compartmentalization, being able to leave some stuff at the door to be able to be present.
Yes.
All right. These are good skills that we're highlighting here for life. Again, I know I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm going to record this one and play it for my daughter when she's a teenager. So now we're gonna try to get you in trouble with your former instructors and current instructors with the $1 million question. If there was anything that you could have done more of in the academy, or you could improve on or change, and yes, we're gonna play this for your instructors to make sure that you get even more push-ups. What would you? Is there any change you would make? Anything?
You know, having been through two academies, I understand why they're structured the way they are, and they were two different academies, but it's that way for a reason. And like you said, trust the process. I don't think there's anything to change at this point.
Oh, high words.
I hear you.
Recruit Matthews, you gonna counter that?
I'm going to double down. Yeah.
Yo.
There we go.
We were kidding about the push-ups. You're not going to get
No.
push-ups.
We love push-ups. It's
Yeah,
great.
we're okay with push-ups. Now.
Fine. Fine. Nothing you would
Again,
change.
on your own. I will opt out of the push-ups.
So I know a big component of the academy and the NOPD in general is stressing the concept of community policing. Take us into that term. What does it mean for you? What is community policing?
I think that the community policing is where the community and the police department work together to solve our problems. It shouldn't be you have a problem, you call 911, the police drive in, windows up, don't pay attention to anyone else, park, get out, deal with that, get back in the car and drive off. I mean, that's really not productive. But if we work together, we can make each neighborhood better, and we can understand each other. You know, we as police officers have a better understanding of why these things are happening, you know, and that way we have an active stake in each one of our neighborhoods, and, you know, we go out of our way for each other. And that's what community policing is to me. I mean, it's all of us working together.
Recruit Matthews, right now, in terms of the process of being a police officer, you're more close to the community, to the civilian side than necessarily the officer side. You haven't fully crossed over to the officer side in some respects, if you were to think of it as this dual experience in terms of your personality or your life. So being closer to the community side right now, what does community policing mean to you?
To me, community policing means partnership with the community and police. And it's really the idea that the police is also the community. The police we live here in the city. Our children go to school here. We grocery shop here. We are the community.
Yes.
So it's feeling safe, that having trust. We are the community too.
Love it.
Partnership.
Love it. We
Always
always
say that.
we always say that. We always say that. We do. Whenever we lead a lot of trainings in the NOPD, and we always try to remind any officer that you are the community too.
And Officer Kalka, just, because you're in this unique position of having now joined NOPD for a second time, tell us, what do you think, or do you think there is a difference between how NOPD approaches community policing now compared to back when you were on the force before?
I think that now we are much more engaged with the community. We understand that the way to effectively reduce crime and bolster a community's perception about us is working together. And so, yeah, I think there's much more of a focus on, getting out in the community and just have a general understanding of, of the areas that we're policing, why things are happening, and just getting to know people. I love to talk to people. That's one of my favorite parts about this job. Mardi Gras, I love it. I just love to get out and hear people's stories and hear what's going on with them. And so right now I think we're much more engaged with the community.
That's great to hear.
It is. And, speaking of getting to know the areas you're policing, one thing that we heard on one of our shows very early on last summer was Officer Doucette said that whenever he has been assigned to a different district, he learns that district by walking around, smoking a cigar, just walking the blocks and talking to people on porches.
Right.
So how do you intend to get to know the communities and the neighborhoods that you might be assigned to? And I know you're assigned to the 3rd, so you're all over
Right.
Gentilly, Lakeview area.
Yep. A little bit of Holly Grove, a little bit of Mid City. Yep. Same way I did it the first time. You drive with the windows down, you stop and talk to people. You don't just respond to calls for service and then go back to the station. If I see somebody barbecuing, hey, what are you barbecuing? See a group of kids on this playing outside, hey, what's going on? Talk to people. And that goes a long way. And then each one of those neighborhoods learns who you are. You might not remember my name, but Officer Slim, hey, and they'll flag you down and say, hey, remember this happened, or hey, so had a baby. That's one of the things that I love about New Orleans too. Like where I'm from, people don't talk to each other. Chicago, people don't talk to each other. But in New Orleans, you could be in the grocery store, and by the time you get through there, you're best friends with the person in front of you and behind you. You know who's having a baby, and you know who just graduated from high school, and that's one of the nice things. So why should it be any different as police officers?
I agree.
What about you, Recruit Matthews? What's your plan for how to get to know your future assignment?
I'd say the key is to be present and to listen and to care. I think, but first you have to be there. Being present.
Great. So let's talk about some of the challenges that might be ahead of you as an officer. We talked about mental health in terms of your needs, self-care, how to make sure that you're feeling right so you can do right. But let's talk about it from the perspective of those you might be serving. Do you feel ready to work with individuals who might be experiencing a mental health crisis or having, what might be the worst day of their lives, the day that you meet them?
Yeah, so we've gone over, the academy itself has a number of classes about dealing with people who are having mental health crises, including simulations. Which is important. I think that was phenomenal.
And sorry, what are simulations? Can you
So
explain it?
essentially, one of the instructors will you'll act out as if you're a police officer, okay, responding to a call for service, and one of the instructors will essentially act as someone who's having a crisis, and just to make sure that this is, when you get on the street, it's not the first time you experience something like this, and the proper steps, and who needs to be called, and how to deal with that individual, and that's important. I don't recall having that in 1998, but we definitely had a lot of it in this academy. Very, very important.
Do you feel prepared?
Yes. I mean, yeah.
You do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I still have a lot more training to do, but
Yeah.
I'm certain by the time I get to the other side, I'm certain I will be prepared.
All right, we believe you. We do. So let's talk about your resumes a little. Your personal development. What are your career goals for your time in the NOPD? We want to hear your predictions now, so that way we can say we knew them when.
Well, my first and most important goal, is to graduate from academy. That is
Good.
number one. And then I think after that, I'd like to find something that feels in alignment with me and feels like home, and somewhere I could really be of service. So that's my goal.
That's a good goal. Wow, that's again a big
Yes.
goal just for life, right?
Yes. Some of us are still searching. You know?
I know. Honestly, I'm like that is heavy. Am I in something that
I
feels
know,
like
right?
home?
It's like all of this advice can be used just twofold. If you want to join the police academy, of course, and join NOPD, of course, they're great advice for that. But if you just want to succeed in life,
Find a
you
place,
might want to listen as well.
find a place that feels like home. That's nice.
Yes.
Recruiting life coach Matthews.
I know, honestly, we're getting a window into how you became recruit in charge.
Right,
exactly.
right.
Exactly.
What about you, Officer Kalka?
So, personal goals. I didn't come into this with any one path that I wanted to go to. I enjoyed so many different parts of this job the first time. I think that having gone through the academy experience this second time, though, made me realize that I'd like to get into the teaching aspect of this. When I was in Chicago, I taught at Robert Morris University. I taught Intro to Forensic Science, and I found I loved it. I mean, it was just that's the calling, you know. So I would love to be able to impart the experience that I have to the younger generation of officers. And if that means that I end up at the academy, then that would be fantastic. I would love every minute of it.
That's
All right.
amazing.
That's great. So, deputy chiefs,
Yes.
if you're listening,
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, that's your wish list. So, do you think having a mentor in the NOPD would help with these paths that y'all have discussed? These goals? Do y'all have mentors?
I'd say that Officer Kelka has been a mentor for me through this journey. He's been incredibly supportive and a huge advocate, and helped guide along the way. So I'd say so. Yes.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's flattering.
I know.
Very
right?
flattering. I know.
Here's the thing. So, Recruit Matthews is the future of this department.
Mm.
And I don't mean like in the general, oh, she's about to become a patrol officer, so she's the future of the department. She's one in a million, you know? And, she is, she's brilliant. I mean, what you've seen today is just that barely scratches the surface, you know? She's a great leader. She knows how to talk to people and how to get the best out of them. You know, she excels at everything she does. But most of all, and probably most importantly, though, she's a good person. You know, she's honest and caring and hardworking. And she always does the right thing. And never looks for accolades for that, you know? So anything that I can do to help her navigate this career path, I'm there, you know? Because with her on the job, we all win.
That is awesome and high praise. I mean,
Yes.
I have to say, this is really encouraging, and it's reminding me that you don't need to look for examples above you in terms of rank. Look for examples on every level.
Right.
And that's an important thing for any officer. I think for anyone in a large agency or organization like NOPD to keep in mind.
Yeah.
You can find an example on every level. So, as you continue to work for NOPD, what do you hope your lasting impact will be on the department and the community? If you had to say, this is my legacy, where do you want it to be?
For me, I'd say it would be that I cared, that I showed up every day and I gave 100%, and that I genuinely cared. That would be, yeah.
I'm telling you, as somebody who leads a lot of community forums, that's all
Yes.
the community is asking for.
It's people to care
People
and
to care.
actually put some, heart into the work they're doing.
Yeah.
And you, Officer Kalka, what about you?
I don't know. It's hard to say, but I would like to, you know, I'd like for younger officers as they progress through their careers to remember, hey, I remember when Kelka told me this, and you know what? He was spot on, or I got through this because of something that Kelka taught me,
Mhm.
you know? And I think we can make the department a lot better, by teaching people the right way, and hopefully I can have that lasting impact.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So I guess our final question, wow, is what would you consider saying to someone who's considering a career in law enforcement, especially here in New Orleans? Do you have any final words to that person who's, has their hand on the mouse, hovering over the online
Apply now.
application? Yeah, it says apply now. What do you say to them?
Do it now.
Do it.
Seriously. Yeah. There is no more rewarding career than this. And you can actually see the good that you're doing. I mean, if you're in sales, nobody cares a year from now how many whatevers you sold, but you can see the good that you've done. And when you talk to people, and when somebody comes up on the street, and I tell people all the time, told all the new recruits, you're going to run into a lot of people, and they're going to say, hey man, you remember me? And if you were good to them, it's going to be a good experience. And I've had it countless times. Hey man, you remember me? Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I appreciate you treating me like that. I'm on the right path now, or, anything like that. I think that's very, very important.
We always say the community is the greatest asset that
That's
the
very
police
true.
department has in solving and preventing crime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We cannot do this job without the community, without positive community involvement.
So true.
So do it now before you get old like me.
And then do it anyway.
Right, and then do it anyway, yeah.
And then do it anyway. Perfect
Oh.
last words to go out on. Do it anyway.
And now also another police show has now popped into my head, The Rookie. I didn't think about that.
Yep.
That makes sense. Well, I do want to thank both of you all again for being on here. And you gave such great advice today to people that want to join the academy, people that want to live life, But just remember to stay away from the king cake and get your
I'm sworn off
discipline
of it.
up, right? And no po' boys while we're at it.
Oh, come on now. Now you've gone too far.
Crazy.
Well, this wraps up today's episode of The Monitor's Mic, and I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in and staying engaged with the crucial conversations we're having about police oversight and community safety. As a special thank you to both of you, a special thank you to both of you for joining us today and giving the community a glimpse into your experiences and perspectives as recruits with the NOPD. If you missed any part of today's show, I want to catch up on past episodes. Visit our website at www.nolaipm.gov. And you can find and follow us on YouTube at NOLA IPM. And you can also follow us on our social media for updates and news. On Instagram, we're NOLA OIPM. And on Facebook, we're New Orleans Independent Police Monitor. And before we leave, I also want to mention that we are absolutely hiring for our community engagement specialist position. And that link is actually on our social medias. You can actually go in there, and also on the Civil Service website, and just look for New Orleans Independent Police Monitor on there. But on our social media, we have the link up there for that. And we also are hiring for an AmeriCorps Fellow for our mediation department. So if you're interested in working with the community in both ways, in our community engagement specialist or in our mediation department, please go on our social media and click those links. We would love to hear from you and review your applications, and hope we have a great applicant out there listening. So until next time, stay informed, stay involved, and stay committed to building a safer community. And this has been The Monitor's Mic.